Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to this video. Today, I want to explain to you guys the difference between an IPO, a SPAC, and a direct listing. So there's three ways that a company can go public. It's with an IPO, which stands for Initial Public Offering, a SPAC, which is Special Purpose Acquisition Company, or a direct listing. They're all three kind of similar, but at the same time, kind of different. So the first question we have to ask ourselves is, why do we even have to have a stock exchange? Well, this is to raise money if you have an idea. If I have an idea, but I don't have the funds in order to create that product or execute on the idea, I can take my idea to market and try and find investors who think my idea is cool also. When a company decides they want to go public, they have to file what's called an S1. And an S1 is an intent to go public, and this is with usually just for an IPO. We have to determine how much is this idea worth? So if I have the idea for a new smartphone and it's gonna revolutionize everything, it's gonna use the newest technology, it's gonna be the greatest thing ever, well, we have to put some sort of price tag to what we think that is worth. And so then brings us to the next, and this is what an IPO is. So initial public offering is when you take a company, usually a private company, and you bring it to a group of individuals and they look at your balance sheet, they look at your income statement, and they decide how much that company is worth. Usually these are companies like JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Charles Schwab. There's been some smaller players in the industry. And what they will do is they will use their vast amount of clients to do what's called a book building. And they will go to them and say, hey, Joe Schmo, we have this company that's going to become available. We think it's going to be valued at this. Would you like to invest? And Joe Schmo is a very rich investor, and he could say, sure, this sounds like a great idea. I'll buy it for $10. Then they'll go to someone else and say, hey, Bob, we have this company. Would you buy it for $15? And they will do this to build a supply and demand relationship to the level of supply that they think will be available and how many shares are going to be in existence versus the demand relative for other investors. This process takes anywhere between 3 to 2 years, depending on the size and the evaluation, and then is listed on the exchange. So this is a very popular example with Snowflake. Snowflake actually was underwritten, so JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, I think, were the underwriters on it, and they undervalued it by about 25%. So when it went public, the first day on the exchange, it shot up in value significantly because the retail investors thought it was undervalued at its current price. But after hearing all that, what do you think the one problem is with going this IPO route? And if you've seen other videos that I've made, you probably already know that the problem is with these guys right here. So JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and Charles Schwab are going to take a commission for underwriting your business, and it could be anywhere between 5 to 20%. And so this has introduced something called a SPAC. And a SPAC in recent years wasn't very much used until about 2019, and definitely in 2020, it's just exploded in value. Because when you think of an IPO, you have to spend anywhere between 5 and 20% of your shares will go to those underwriters. And if you're going to be underwriting a company that's worth a couple $1 billion, that's a significant portion of shares that would be out in liquidity that you no longer have access to. So this is a huge blow to a lot of companies. And so a way to get around this is they've been using what's called a SPAC. And a SPAC is kind of an inverse of an IPO. So it's not going private, but it goes public with an IPO. So it will take just a shell company and it will go public with an IPO, but it won't have a purpose. It won't have a business. It's just a strong management team. So let's just say you have a bunch of people with really smart, they have a great idea, but they don't have their product doesn't exist yet. It's just an idea. So they will create a SPAC based off that. Get an IPO, a very low value, only probably a couple percentage. That's not worth a whole lot. And then they will use the money that they raise with that SPAC to go out and purchase a private company. We saw this with CCIV. And so again, just to reiterate, the goal is for this company to avoid paying those IPO fees. And finally, that brings us to direct listing. And the reason why a company would want to do a direct listing versus a SPAC or an IPO is because it doesn't lock up any shares. It doesn't require issuing new shares and diluting some of the investors' initial equity. And so the biggest reason, though, is being that it's lower cost because you don't have to pay for underwriters to value your business. You've already valued your business and you just go out to the market and say, hey, it's worth this amount, buy it or leave it. The problem with this is it can be very volatile, and it may take some time for your initial shares to pick up traction. So there's a risk. There's always a risk involved. So in my personal opinion, there's no great solution. I mean, all three have their purposes and they all three have their advantages and disadvantages. We have certainly seen in the last few years of SPACs and direct listings become way more common versus the traditional IPO. So guys, with that being said, thank you for watching this video. My name is Jackson Welch. If you'd like to see content similar to this one, be sure to hit the subscribe button and like this video. Leave a comment down below saying what IPOs, what SPAC, and what direct listings are you excited for in 2021. Thanks again for watching. My name is Jackson, and I will see you guys in the next one.